For those of you that are just starting out in music, I'd like to go over Music 101, intervals. As you know, intervals are the distance between any two notes. For example, that's an interval of a third, that's an interval of a second, and so on. A single note is called a unison. If people sing in unison, that means they're singing the same pitch, same note. But two notes or more, two notes is an interval, and three notes is a chord. A chord, name of a three-note chord is called a triad, but you can have four-note chords, five-note chords, six-note chords, and seven, and so on. Okay, but right now we want to talk about intervals. So if you start on the bottom note of any scale, I'm going to do the C scale, which is easy to see because it's all white keys. But if I go up a second, that's called a major second. If I go up a third, that's called a major third. If I go up a fourth, that's called a perfect fourth. It's not a major fourth. There's no such thing as a major fourth. It's called a perfect fourth. And the reason for that is F is in the key of C, but C is also in the scale of F. Okay, so they have a perfect relationship, those two notes. If I play C and G together, that's called a perfect fifth for the same reason. They're in each other's scale. C is in the scale of G, G is in the scale of C. If I play C to A, that's called a major sixth. If I play C to B, that's called a major seventh. So we have major seconds, major thirds, major sixth, major seventh, but we have a perfect fourth and a perfect fifth, and we have a perfect octave because they have a perfect relationship. Obviously, they're in each other's scale too. Okay. Now, in addition to the basic intervals of major and perfect, there also can be minor intervals. For example, that's a major second, but if I play that, D flat instead of D, that would be called a minor second. This would be called a minor third. This would be called a minor sixth because it's a half step lower than a major sixth. And this would be called a minor seventh because it's a half step lower than a major seventh. Okay? Now when it comes to perfect intervals, though, they have a different name. There's no minor intervals when it comes to perfect intervals. There can be an augmented interval. In other words, if I go up a half step from that perfect fourth, I get an augmented fourth. Or, likewise, if I go down a half a step from a perfect fifth, I have a diminished fifth. Okay? So I can have an augmented fifth, I could have I could have an augmented fourth, I could have a diminished fifth. Or, if I raised the fifth a half step, I could call that an augmented fifth. Now you'll notice that an augmented fifth is enharmonic with a minor sixth, and that's true of several intervals. Okay? They can have more than one name, just like you can have more than one name. Your name and maybe your nickname, okay? But just to review, intervals are the distance between any two notes, and we have seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths, sixths, sevenths, and eighths. And in seconds, thirds, sixths, and sevenths, we have major and minor intervals, and in perfect intervals, we have augmented and diminished intervals, okay? So that's kind of Music Theory 101 as far as intervals are concerned. So thanks for being with me. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.